So can you describe the candy store?
I sure can. It was a small corner store with a counter that had about 10 or 12 stools, 2 booths in the back. And the front counter had a cigar case in it, and behind it were racks for cigarettes. Cigarettes and cigars were a big part of the business, and pipe tobacco. And then behind the ice cream counter on the shelf were a couple of Hamilton Beach mixers where you mix the milkshakes. And there were some pewter ice cream sundae holders that you tipped upside down, and a paper lily cup got stuck to it, and you went this way and you scraped out the ice cream and put them in. And there were jars of large receptacles for loose nuts, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, little pieces of licorice. There were 3 or 4 varieties of penny candy, and with scoops, and you'd take a little paper bag, and there was a scale, and you'd weigh out 2 ounces of pumpkin seeds or 2 ounces of different kinds of nuts. And then there were school supplies in the back and a small assortment of games. There was a magazine rack and newspapers, including a very good variety of Yiddish newspapers, the Vorwärts, the Tug, the Morgen Journal, the Zukunft, the Freiheit. We covered all courts and all causes, the whole political spectrum there, from the conservative to the communist. You could pick up everything in that newspaper rack. And my dad thought he was running General Motors, so he would sit at the corner stool and take a cigar out of the cigar rack. And while my mother and I were running around dishing out ice cream and trying to handle the crowd, my dad would be sitting there reading the Vorwärts, and smoking a cigar. He thought he was the president and CEO of the candy store. It was driven by neighborhood foot traffic. Again, nobody drove to the candy store, right? The candy store was on the first floor of about an 8-story apartment building. Detroit is a city largely of single homes and 2-family homes. It's not like New York or Chicago. But in that area of Dexter, there were some apartment buildings. And there were a couple, one on top of the candy store, one across the street from it. So there was a lot of foot traffic. And people went shopping. You went grocery shopping every day or every 2 days. You went to the grocery store, the meat market, the bakery, and the fish market. So on the way home, you'd stop in you'd pick up a newspaper, you'd pick up something to nosh, you'd get an ice cream cone. So it was part of the daily process. And then at night, especially in the warm months, you'd get young people, kids coming home from school would stop in. And at night, you'd get the after-dinner people who were taking a spazier. They were the passeggiata, is that how they say it in Italian? The stroll after dinner. And they'd be walking in and get an ice cream soda for 15 cents.